Ghana was selected to chair the ICSOE for the period of 2023. And the Bureau worked very, very hard and immediately set to work by looking at the recommendations that came from the 25th meeting. Basically, it was a time that was very challenging because we're going to crisis, conflict. At that time, we see the exuberance of the youth boiling up because there's a vacuum. And then also, that was also the very time the African Continental Free Trade area was taken up. So a lot of things to look at. But we concentrated on the key ones to promote the African Continental Free Trade area by localizing all these actions in their respective national plans. Very, very important. And then also to tackle the issue of food security, because we had just come out of the COVID, and it was obvious it was affecting agricultural production in the continent, particularly those areas related to storage and marketing. And we're looking at how we can do that by stretching the production chain. And then also, it was also necessary to have the full chain. We needed to coordinate economic activities in respective countries. We're also going through the climate challenges, the issues of floods and the issue of other natural crises which are coming up from that. So immediately after that, we set our plans to respond to that. We had the opportunity to have a big technical meeting leading to the African ministers meeting on the SDGs. So, and then those areas we brought in strongly the issue of climate change and the others. We also realized that in many of our discussions, the economic management of our respective countries were facing challenges. People were plunging into debt crisis. Our currencies were being affected by the economic activities around that, so we needed to respond to that. And we also realized that we cannot do short-term fixes, and therefore it lies in effective medium-term plans by the respective countries. So the Bureau really supported in the development of these plans. We also helped in developing the comparative advantages of respective countries with respect to the African Continental Free Trade area, to specialize, to identify areas that you can focus your resources, prioritize that, and be able to exchange that with other African countries. And it was a very successful meeting. We had one in Côte d'Ivoire and then later on in Sierra Leone itself, Senegal. And out of that, countries realized that the tall list of 15 and 16 and other things were no way. And therefore, there was a need to shortlist and focus on primary activities where they have comparative advantage and exchange. It started with some of the exports among some of the African countries, import happening, exchanges started. But then the biggest challenge has to do with infrastructure. And this is something that ought to be tackled. If you want to, send goods from Senegal to Kenya, the only way is to go around the whole continent with by the sea or fly, and it becomes expensive. It becomes very expensive and non-competitive because it's easier to obtain that same product from Europe than to go all the way across to Kenya. So if we need to take advantage of the continental trade opportunity, then we needed to look at the whole issue of infrastructure, which is a challenge. And I hope the next team will take it up. The other one, which is also important, has to do with security. Political security really underpins economic security. And we saw that in West Africa, in the Sahel, a lot of those things happening indicates to us that if we want to build our economies, we must solve the issue that relates to the governance and particularly the needs of the youth.